to Mortys and MM Reviews.
Today's topic, Motorhead's self-titled release, came out in 1977, some badass rock and roll. Gonna review not only the album, but also a little bit of the band, and yeah, so let's get started, shall we? So, this review, of course, is gonna be about Motorhead, probably one of the most legendary rock and roll bands ever. Now, I'm reviewing probably one of their most underrated albums ever out of their whole discography. And their discography, every single album is amazing. There's nothing better than listening to a Motorhead album if you're into rock and roll. That's that. And if you want to see a better Motorhead album, don't listen to an album. Go see them live. But anyway, so this album is self-titled. It's called Motorhead. The band itself started in 1975. This album came out in 1977. Oh yeah, also, by the way, I forgot to bring the CD with me, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later, about why I forgot to bring it. Well, actually, that's not important, so fuck that. Anyway, so I forgot to bring the CD, so here are the track listings right here. But, so let me tell you the story of how I got this album. So, a year ago, I pre-ordered this album at a local record store called Double Records, and, you know, I love Double Records, and I pre-ordered it, or I wouldn't say pre-ordered it, I ordered it in from another store, and, you know, it was used, and it was but when I got it, I was like, God, I can't wait to listen to it. You know, before I got this job, I've been earning, a lot of my own money, hard-earned, and buying my own season games for a while, and, it was my first official job, but, I was doing some work at my uncle's ranch, got the cash, and I bought the album, and when I popped it in, I instantly realized this is the best Motorhead album I've probably ever heard. The reason why I think it's the best Motorhead album ever is because, in a way, all the other Motorhead albums sound different, but this one has something to it that the other ones don't. Not just because it's the first album they made, but also because it has a sound to it that only one album, Overkill, the second out of the 5 Bronze records, the original lineup, that even comes close to it. Basically, this is a record that it resembles true rock and roll, basically. Now, I know opinions are like assholes, and they all stink, or as you can put it my way, opinions are like assholes, everyone's got one. The only difference is that, opinion is fucking worthless, and you should wipe your ass with your own opinion, just like everyone else's, which you do every day. So, an asshole of action parties, how else are you supposed to take a shit? But, to me, this is what resembles real rock and roll. Rock and roll to me is like 50s, 60s, and 70s rock and roll, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Seger, fucking Little Richard, Chuck Berry. Well, Motorhead's one of them, because it's from the 70s. Real rock and roll to me is, sex, drugs, rock and roll, rebellion, and showing reality, against society and the government. It's also about having fun. This is what rock and roll is, and this album represents it. And the other thing about this album, not only does it sound great all the way from track 1 to track 13, but it also has content to it, which every single Motorhead album does, but I don't know, I like this one a lot more, because the content, I think is very interesting. And, so yeah. Anyway, so here's the track listings. And the first song is Motorhead, then it's Vibrator, Lost Johnny, Iron Was Born to Lose, Beast Track, White Line Fever, Keep Us on the Road, that's a really good one too. The Watcher, really good. Train Kept Rolling. Now, Aerosmith did this song. I'm not sure who did the original. I'd love to know that. I'm going to research that. And bonus tracks as well. By the way, on the Bronze records, they released bonus tracks with, they released a bunch of bonus tracks. And there's no special edition or, there's no certain edition. It's just the normal CD with a bunch of bonus tracks just to be nice. So, it's fucking awesome. Who doesn't love bonus tracks? So, the bonus tracks are City Kids, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers. ZZ Top did that one. That's a awesome rock and roll band too, To me, that's a very good cover. One thing you'll get out of this Motorhead album, not just this Motorhead album, but others, is that they do a lot of rock and roll covers, and they're really good. They did covers, like Louie Louie from, the Sonics, which is really good. On Parole, intro, and the intro leads up to the last song, I'm the Witch Doctor, and to me, fuck it, I like them all. I seriously like them all. I mean, I'm not one to say I love every song and every record I have. To me, there's certain favorite songs I like, but to this one, I love them all. You know, I'm a big time Motorhead fan. You know, me, I'm very into old school traditional metal, and old school traditional punk rock, and old school, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s rock, and, you know, hence the, you know, Motorhead t-shirt, yeah. But, you know, I guess the 4 tracks that I really love, though, are, you know, Motorhead talks about being a speed freak. That's what the point of the band is about. You know, Motorhead's a slang term for speed freak, not, you know, driving Harley around, all that shit. Then there's, you know, Iron Horse, Born to Lose. It talks about, you know, bikers and, you know, riding on the road, you know, like, not like the guys who drop off at a, you know, Starbucks coffee shop to show off their bikes. Talking about guys, you know, Hells Angels who are murder and, you know, do drugs and all that other shit. But, you know, also talks about Born to Lose. There's another song called Live to Win, but that's off the Ace of Spades album. And Born to Lose, to Live to Win is a good, you know, saying. And seeing as how he's also talking about the band, Born to Lose, Live to Win. You know, on your shittiest day, whether your wife cheated on you or you're broke for a while to go see your kids or some shit, on your shittiest day, you might as well still live to win and look up. Because you might not know. You know, you ain't got nothing else. You might as well just live to win anyway. So, yeah, that's the way I look at it. But anyway, you know, on with the album again. You know, and that also relates to the content part. I'm going to get to that soon. Other good tracks would definitely be Keep Us on the Road. You know, talks about, you know, read the lyrics, ripping a girl's clothes off, you know, sex, all that other stuff. I don't remember really the background story, but it's still awesome. But, you know, there's a lot of people who love sex, and there's a lot of people who, you know, love to have sex, and it's just like I said, sex is the most fun you can have without even laughing. And then On Parole, it's another great track. You know, it's a really good one. One of the tracks, Vibrator, is a really kind of more of a punk rocky tune, really good. And you know, to me, the album is just fantastic. I love it. I think it's awesome. If you're a metalhead or a punk rocker or a rock and roll, you love music just in general, and you want to check out some good rock and roll, this is the album that you should look at, because this is true rock and roll, like I said before. You know, and let me go a little bit off the band. So, if there's one thing that I've said before, is content. Everything about a band or artist or musician, whatever, needs to have content, and that's what this album is. Every Motorhead album does. You know, sex, drugs, war, everything. But it goes from not just reality of the world, but also to personal experiences. The band is just that great. You know, it's like Lemmy says, we may not be number 1 band, but we're going to be a number 2 band. So yeah, you know, the band basically, you know, is true rock and roll. It shows rock and roll for what it really is. You know, it's not watered down, it's not censored, it's true straight up rock and roll. And that's all it is. You know, you might get, you know, some metal that says, no, it's metal. And you get some punk that says, no, it's punk rock. Well, guess what? I'm not a genre whore, and to tell you the truth, I rather trust the guy who's actually in the band, who actually knows what he's playing, which is Lemmy himself and Phil Campbell and, you know, Mickey D and all those other guys that were in the band previous and now lineups. Basically, it's rock and roll. Get used to it. That's what he says, and that's what it always will be. Okay? And not only that, but the one thing about Motorhead that no other band has ever done, and if you don't believe me, you're fucking lying to yourself, because last time I checked, Motorhead was the band that brought together not only metal. Now, I'm not as much as a metal as used to be. I still listen to a lot of metal music, but Motorhead is the band that brought together not only metalheads and punk rockers, but also other various groups of underground music. They're just that much of a band. They're respected by many underground music fans, and they're the true rock and roll, and that's that. You know, I love old school traditional metal, punk rock, and everything, and this is the band that brought us all together. You know, melodies were calling punks a bunch of fags, and you know, punk rockers probably calling, you know, a bunch of melons cocksuckers, you know, back then. But back then when the band came out, you know, actually bonded together from kicking the shit out of each other and shit. You know, that's what, you know, kind of made them respect one another. I'm not sure if there's still feuds or whatever, but, you know, I don't know. But anyway, you know, you love what you love, and this is what makes you. So yeah, Motorhead, real rock and roll, awesome record. I definitely pick it up if you're into rock and roll or metal or anything like that, because this is a band that goes to all different genres and types of groups, musical groups, all that other shit. Anyway, you have a good night.